Good morning. Thank you everybody for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a few moments, all right? Just hang tight. Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Belinda Vanuelos. I'm with the Los Angeles County PTAC. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my colleague, Enrique Gonzalez.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for making it to the virtual presentation of Doing Business with the United States Department of Veteran Affairs. We're very pleased to have our speaker here. Jay Khan is going to be talking about what are the priorities in purchasing for the Department of Veteran Affairs. Just wanting to talk a little bit about the Office of Small Business that works under the oversight and is part of the Los Angeles County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. The Office of Small Business operates the certifications program, the PTAC, and the concierge program. These are all resources available to businesses. For certifications, we house the application processing location for businesses looking to certify for competitions for contracts within the County of Los Angeles. We offer various certifications from disabled veteran-owned businesses to social enterprises to local small business enterprises and community business enterprises which incorporate women-owned small businesses and minority business enterprises. The Los Angeles County PTAC is a center that's funded both by the County of Los Angeles and the Department of Defense. It offers services in the way of government contracting, counseling sessions, trainings, and networking opportunities. So if you're interested in government contracting opportunities, which I assume you are because you're in attendance today, please feel free to seek out additional services from the PTAC where we can schedule you for a one-on-one counseling session so we can help you set your agenda for what you want to accomplish with respect to government contracting. Finally, we have the Small Business Concierge, which offers small business assistance for startups. So if you have any questions about obtaining necessary permits or how to obtain funding or business model creation, we have those services available within the Office of Small Business as well. The Procurement Technical Assistance Center operates for free. We offer services to be able to make it possible to link businesses with buyers. We have various resources in the way of providing you with new opportunities that you can compete for in various jurisdictions, not just the County of Los Angeles. We also provide you with information and market research in the way of contacts, as well as pricing and past spending data. In any location in the country. Finally, the PTAC services are going to be able to provide you with those virtual counseling sessions that are free. All it requires is registration, which I'm assuming you've done already because you're attending this training. The educational workshops and trainings are available on our calendar. As I mentioned before, the market software that can help you identify leads as well as opportunities and contacts. So please reach out to our PTAC office for additional services. Again, all of our services are free. We recommend that you contact us via email, and a counselor will respond, providing you with their availability so that you can schedule an appointment. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jay, who's going to talk more about Department of Veteran Affairs opportunities, procurement priorities, and so forth. Jay?
Good morning, and thank you, Enrique and Belinda. I wanted to first thank the PTAC again for this opportunity to reach out to the vendor community, and thank you to those who are taking the time to attend today. We are very, very happy, very excited to be able to have, again, these opportunities to speak with the vendor community in our interactions versus having vendors calling us at our office and we providing guidance. We want to be more proactive and reach out to the vendors, and this is an excellent way of doing this. So thank you again to the LA County PTAC for allowing this to happen again. Those who may not have attended, we did have a session with LA County PTAC a few months ago, earlier this year, and that was a good success. Based on the responses I received from vendors after the event had concluded. So I'm hoping to have the same results this time. So my name's Jay. As you see here, I'm the small business liaison for the Department of Veteran Affairs Network Contracting Office 22. My small business liaison here, essentially, if you call Veteran Affairs or email Veteran Affairs, I'm the point of contact you'd be reaching out to in discussions related to anything related to our type of procurements, or if you need guidance as a startup small business, or you've been a small business for a number of years. If you want to have discussions with other government agencies, whether it's General Services Administration or if it's Small Business Administration especially, I can try to point you in the right direction and connect you with the right point of contact, so you don't have reach out to the people that you're hoping would help and you don't have that luck. Well, my goal is to eliminate those delays and to be able to assist you in any way possible. So as you see here, and in my slide here, slide 2 of the presentation, my small business liaison duties here, overall, I have the oversight of the small business program that we run. Our small business program here at Department of Veteran Affairs is focused specifically for the Southern California region. And I'm responsible for this, and I coordinate a lot with our contracting staff, and myself coming from the Department of Interior originally and spending about 10 years or so in federal contracting as a warranty contracting officer, as well as a team lead of our contracting office, and then coming to Veteran Affairs. So I have a lot of understanding of the contract process, and when I coordinate and I collaborate with our contracting staff about the small business program and running this program, there's a number of different key components that make up this program. It's at times it can be a little bit complex. The majority of it is pretty straightforward, but at the end of the day, results is what we're trying to do, and I'll go into that later in the presentation. I'd already discussed here, I have contact for small businesses. My contact information will be on the last slide of the presentation. So if you want to ask questions during this presentation, feel free to do so. Just raise your hand, or feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. I'm happy to stop and answer. Or if you want to feel more comfortable sending me an email afterwards or giving me a phone call after this presentation, please do so. I encourage it. I highly, highly encourage interaction with the vendor community. I encourage questions. I encourage them reaching out and seeking guidance, because that's a big part of my duties. That's what I do, and I enjoy doing it. I'm again liaison between the contractors and Veteran Affairs. Covered that. I'm your point of contact. I discuss contract actions, forecasts of contract actions that will be coming throughout the fiscal year, the current status of a solicitation, what's going on. I can release certain details of solicitations, not too much, per regulations. And of course, I assist my customers, and our customers and program offices would be the 4 medical centers located in Southern California, being located in Greater Los Angeles, Long Beach, Loma Linda, and San Diego. And as I stated, I coordinate a lot with the contracting and acquisition staff as well. So let's go on to the next slide. So let's go into the kind of purchases that Department of Veteran Affairs does. We do a wide range of purchases, medical supplies, equipment, services, janitorial, medical and office furniture, information technology, etc. We did in the past have done construction services in the past. That's very, very limited now. Majority of it has been transferred to a different network contracting office, but in the past we did do construction. So that's just an FYI on that bullet point there. And let's go to the order of precedence here. So there's been a lot of, and recently as an update here, there's been a lot of discussion regarding the order of precedence and how it works and what comes first, etc. So the most recent guidance provided is the order of precedence will fall into this. Through 1 through 6 here, we see what it is. And overall, what it is the first would be order of precedence would be, for example, if we receive a contract requirement from our medical center, they want to purchase IT, or they want to purchase some type of furniture, or they want to purchase reagents, whatever it may be. Our number one priority is to follow what we call the rule of 2, and we'll go into that later. But rule 2, what that means is we have to locate at least 2 service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses. To be able to locate that in our market research, and we've used various different resources for market research. We use Federal Procurement Desktop, we use vendor information pages, we do requests for information on beta.sam, to name just a few of them. And we look for at least 2 service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses. If we are unable to locate these SDVOSBs, as the acronym is, if we can't locate them, at least 2, or receive responses, and then the responses, if pricing is not considered fair and reasonable, it's just too high to be able to consider fair and reasonable, as stated, then we're able to deviate. Now, we'll look at going to the next order of precedence, and what the changes here, the slide will be updated soon, but this number 2 would be veteran-owned small businesses, so not the ability 1. So service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses will be category 1 of precedence, veteran-owned small businesses will be category 2. If we can't locate them, then we have to do a deviation, and that requires a form to be completed and documentation, market research documentation, and other supporting documentation to be submitted for review. And that documentation comes from the contracting officer or contract specialist up to the small business liaison, being myself, and I review it. What does a review entail? It's me going through their market research. It's me looking at doing my research as well and confirming the accuracy of the information. Are we using the right NAICS code? Are we looking in the right areas? Have we done the market research accurately to ensure that we have not overlooked any service-disabled veteran small businesses, or veteran small businesses as well, that can possibly fulfill the requirement? So we do take that very, very seriously, as it is a mandate, it is a law. If we cannot locate that, then I give the approval to deviate. But vast majority of our requirements are set aside for service-disabled veteran small businesses and veteran small businesses, just an FYI. If we deviate, then we move on to the next category, which in this case would be category 3, not 4. That would be 8A and hub zone businesses. And after that, it would be overall all other small businesses. And then if we can, all our small businesses would be women-owned small business. It would be small business in general, etc. If we can't locate those, then we look at going full and open. And what does full and open competition mean? That means that we are going to open up the requirement to all vendors, regardless of the socioeconomic category, their business classification. We also include large business in that requirement, in that solicitation pool of vendors as well. So we issue a solicitation, beta.sam, or wherever we issue it. Beta.sam is the number 1 place we issue, though. And we'll go full and open if we can't find in these vendors into order of precedence, and then we announce it and we allow them to give the opportunity to submit a response. Let's go next slide. Now, I touched on very briefly in the previous slide what we call the rule of 2. The rule of 2, as I stated, comes from this Supreme Court decision. It's called the Kingdomware Supreme Court decision. This dates back to June of 2016. What the Supreme Court ruled, and what the brief history of this ruling is the Kingdomware company filed a lawsuit stating that they are a service-disabled veteran small business or veteran small business company and they were not included, or the requirement that was announced at the time was not set aside. It was deviated. And the result of this is Kingdomware filed a lawsuit within their rights. The lawsuit went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled, as stated, June 2016, as you see, that Veteran Affairs must consider service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses and veteran-owned small business companies before all others. So you look at the previous slide, we had their order of precedence. One would be service-disabled veteran-owned small business, two would be veteran-owned small business. And so then 8A hub zone, and then all other small businesses, and then would be full and open, which would include large business and small business. So we have to look for at least two service-disabled veteran small businesses that fulfill our requirements. We call that the rule of two. There is no deviating from that unless market research confirms we cannot locate that, as I stated before. That is a must for all requirements, period. The companies, in order to be considered, the companies must be verified and active in the System for Award Management, SAM. I believe your PTAC, if you need guidance with that or registering that, I believe your local PTAC, LA County PTAC, can assist with that as well. If you need questions about that, I can also assist as well. If you want to reach out to me, I can certainly help as well. As I stated before, if you receive quotes, we receive quotes, the pricing must be considered fair and reasonable and advantageous to the government. So we look at industry, we look at pricing submitted, we look at overall in our market research, our government estimates, and everything else associated with it, and determine is this pricing submitted considered to be fair and reasonable, and we take it from there. Other contracts that are exempt from here, as you see here, prosthetics contracts, national contracts, prime vendor contracts, those are exempt from this ruling. Those are the only ones that are exempt. I've received questions regarding prosthetic contracts. Jay, why are prosthetic contracts exempt from Rule of Two? Well, prosthetic contracts are treated more like prescriptions, essentially. Is the prosthetic item is essentially specifically for tailored specifically for a patient. So they consider it, like I said, like a prescription for that specific patient. So that's why we use Rule of Two for that. So it's a little bit unique. And of course, as you see in the last bullet point there, guidance is still evolving, as it will always ever be evolving, and even more definitive guidance we provide in the future. More and more guidance is being released, more and more trainings are being provided to ensure that we reach everyone out in the communities, and everyone has a strong understanding of this, starting with the government procurement office and going out to the vendor community. So we all are on the same page. Now, the verification process. Now, what is the verification process? What am I referring to? Well, the Center for Verification and Evaluation, so CVE process. The CVA process is essentially a three-step process, and we'll go ahead and go to the next slide here. The CVA process, essentially, it's going to cover, allow vendors who can submit documentation and allow them to work towards receiving their business certification, socioeconomic classification. So there is a certain process to follow, three-step process, and it'll be coming up soon. I'll show you step by step that you need to submit. That process you work with submitting documentation, your military documentation, your business documentation, in order to receive a seal, essentially, to confirm that you are going to be now being classified as a socioeconomic status, and that status would be a service-disabled veteran-owned small business or a veteran-owned small business. So the specific seals that you would receive if you are a service-disabled veteran or a veteran of the U.S. military. Thank you for your service, and if you want to submit that documentation, please do. The owners who are, of course, have to be veterans or service-disabled veterans, as stated, or their surviving spouses. A lot of people don't know that. Well, you're eligible. Your surviving spouses are eligible for this kind of socioeconomic seal. So you can keep that in mind. And of course, the eligibility is simple. There can be no change in ownership for at least a 1-year period. So that's what we need to do to be eligible as well, outside of your military service. And as I touched on before, there's a three-step process with the CVE verification process. It's pretty straightforward. Now, the first, as you see here, is you will be completing your application, and you ensure that all the required documentations are submitted and everything in the application has been completed accurately. You submit that. That application and documentation is submitted. The second step is the documentation and application are going to be reviewed and can be checked for authenticity. Overall, the majority of time is if there's any delay in this CV verification process, what I've seen historically is that there may not be enough documentation support documentation submitted, or you may essentially miss submitting something, or they're verifying it and they have a few questions and they want to confirm with you. So that's the authenticity portion. So what happens is after they verify the authenticity, the final step would be a site visit conducted at the business location. Why is that site visit conducted? As it clearly states, we're looking to see if the business location exists and verify other pertinent information to the company and records as well. So that's essentially more verification and authenticity happening at the actual physical location of where the business is located. After that's completed, you should be able to receive your seal. We'll go to the next slide here. The re-verification process, there is a process you have to re-verify. After you receive your certification, the re-verification process must be done at least every 3 years for a company. This was established, as you see there, as of July 2017. So every 3 years, you need to re-verify. It's stated general rule to submit your re-verification request at least 30 days before. I recommend doing it at least 60 days before, just to be extra sure and prevent any possible delays, or there might be a high influx at that time or re-verifications being submitted, and the processing time may increase. I just want to be certain that no one misses the opportunity to re-verify if you qualify, and I'm sure you do. If you received it the first time, initial time, then I'm sure you'll be able to qualify for re-verification again. So, excuse me. You submit that documentation and whatever you need to do as well, and please do this before the expiration. Okay, and let's move to the next slide. Now, let's say at this point you are verified. You're a certified veteran-owned small business. You have completed your CVE process. Now, the question coming up is, what are the needs? What are the needs for veteran affairs? And it's quite simple. We have medical and surgical needs, we have pharmaceutical needs, and we have substance needs. Okay, those four essentially categories are what are the biggest needs that we have. We do have prosthetics and things of that nature, but prosthetics is very unique. So the vendor pool is a bit limited in who we can reach out to. But overall, our competition rate has been very healthy, well over 70% annually in the fiscal year, I should say. And we have been one of the higher performing competitive competition rates nationwide. Next slide. Information technology. This is a big question that I receive from the vendor community. I'll receive a phone call or an email, and they'll be asking generally, here's our capabilities, Jay, and overall, if we can provide IT, how do you acquire your IT? Well, here are the resources that we use. NASA.soup, okay, soup.nasa.gov. So the enterprise-wide procurement, or solutions of enterprise-wide procurement. That's one of the places we go to for IT. The government-wide acquisition contracts, specifically for veterans. We utilize that as well. BuyIT.gov, and of course federal supply schedules. We look at these main areas first, primary sources first, and preferred acquisition methods first prior to going to open market. Now, just as an FYI, open market, what does that mean? We'll look at the federal acquisition regulations. We'll follow those regulations and rules, and we'll be able to issue solicitations going on and post that majority times on beta.sam.gov, and we'll issue the solicitation out to the vendor community, asking them, saying we have IT needs, market research is determined, we're going to make this open market, so please, whoever can fulfill this, please reach out. And overall, that's how we do our information technology requirements, and we do a pretty healthy amount of IT purchases as well. Next slide. Now, prime subcontracting. Okay, so this is a big question that I receive because vast majority of the time is vendors who reach out, they want to reach out because they have the intent of reaching out and taking part in trying to win a government contract with veteran affairs specifically. So many of these companies are new and they do not have the experience yet. They don't have the past performance. Not to say they cannot win contracts as a result, not to say that. But many of them say, you know, I don't have past performance. What can I do? What are some procedures I can follow to help me essentially what we call get your foot in the door? I always look at a teaming arrangement. So reaching out and being a subcontractor to a prime contractor and receiving your experience being a subcontractor on a government contract, with the prime being that contract awardee, because the contract goes to the prime, not the sub. The prime just works with the sub. And as a subcontractor, if you do that work, if you follow that process, you essentially you're gaining experience. And this allows you essentially to what we call, quote unquote, help you get your foot in the door and later on, because now for future required government requirements and future solicitations that you may bid on, you can say that I was a subcontractor on a contract in the past and I have some past performance as a result. And that will help you. Okay. Opportunities that we have, again, majority of the time I've touched on this a couple of times throughout this presentation. The first bullet point there is beta.sam.gov. That is the #1 place we go to for our solicitation announcements. Okay. Of course, we have an excellent resource for the vendor community, and that's the forecast of contracting opportunities. That's through the Office of Small and Disabled Business Utilization, OSDBU. And you see the web address there, va.gov/OSDBU. I believe their forecast of contract opportunities has not been updated or posted yet. As a result, our procurement office here, we developed our own forecast of contract opportunities for our specific office here. And this is something that I think is an excellent resource for our vendor community as well. Subcontracting opportunities is at the same place, the same website. So please take a look at va.gov/OSDBU and for subcontracting opportunities as well. I touched on the Federal Procurement Desktop Data System at FDS.gov. That's another resource that is public information on contracts that have been awarded. After award, every contract or every modification, whatever it may be, is entered into this system and it's public knowledge. You can look at it and you can see it. Well, what happened, who did the award go to, the amount, place of performance, etc. And of course, the Small Business Administration subnet. So Small Business Administration being there for small businesses specifically, and they are a great resource to utilize. Next slide. So I'm going to pause for a second and ask those who are attending if you have any questions or concerns at this point. Please feel free to reach out. We haven't had any questions yet, so I want to make sure I stop and everyone's on the same page, or I can address your questions.
We did have a couple of questions pop in, Jay. Okay. So the first one was, do you purchase meals, lunches, and dinners?
Yes, we do.
And then someone asked for the number we listed for PTAC is not working. When I call, there's a message saying the number is disconnected. Do you have another number available? That I will ask Enrique. Is there a different phone number that we can provide? Actually, there is. Let me give you this one. So this is the main number for our department. It is 213-974-1457. And in the menu, just select the option for PTAC, and that should get you to a PTAC counselor. And I believe we'll also post the email address as well. You can reach us at ptac@dcva.lacounty.gov, and we can schedule an appointment that way as well. Question for you, Jay, is do you purchase food items or kitchen or snack shop?
No, not necessarily. We do more meals and things of that nature.
Okay, and that was it for now. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Okay, excellent. And those are excellent questions. Thank you very much for those who asked. I want to stop and make sure everyone knows that I encourage questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in or chime in, unmute yourself. Please ask me. And I want to make sure we make this as beneficial as possible. And questions are excellent. I love the interaction with asking questions. So to continue forward with our presentation, the limitations of subcontracting. There are limits of subcontracting. So service-able veteran small businesses and veteran small businesses may subcontract to a business, as you see there, of any size, okay, regardless of their size. It's just the one caveat is you must abide by a certain clause. And you see the clause number there, 52.219-27C, it's in the FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulations. It states what the burden costs. are of the personnel and the manufacturing. And you see clearly there what the burdens are. It is services is a 50% burden, may take up to 50% of the costs, supplies 50%, construction is 15%, special trades 25%. So those limitations of subcontracting cannot exceed it. Okay, that is not acceptable in terms of the burden. Let's just let's go to the next slide. Okay, and I touched on this before about the forecast contract opportunities. We have our normally in a normal environment, the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization would have it posted on their website. From what I've seen so far, they have not posted it yet, but as I stated before, we have our own document that we utilize of forecasted requirements this fiscal year, remainder of this fiscal year. Then we've been pretty much hit the halfway point of this fiscal year, so we're entering the second half. And third and fourth quarter, especially fourth quarter, things get very, very busy. But opportunities are there. If you have any questions or you have any want to reach out related to potential requirements that may come in the future, or come to me with your capabilities, and you can discuss your capabilities with me, and I can try to look at what requirements we have forecasted and send the information to you, so that when the solicitation is announced, if it's announced, because it's subject to change, it's just a forecast. If that solicitation is announced, you're ready, you're prepared to submit your response. So this gives you a great advantage, a fair advantage, and I think it's, again, I really push the forecast contract opportunities with our vendors. I want to see them be successful and give them as much support as possible. Next slide. Now, the network contracting offices. Now we have multiple locations nationwide, but the western region that we call the western region of contract offices is comprised of a certain different offices, that's 17 through 22. So as a FYI here, Division 22, that would be my contracting office. We cover Southern California, but there is also what we call our sister network contracting office. That's 22. We call it 22 Gilbert. They cover the New Mexico, Arizona locations as well. We are currently in the process of doing a merger, and we will be merging these locations into one central contracting office region. So all Southern California and New Mexico and Arizona will eventually be under one network contracting office 22 instead of two separate ones. So overall, the structure of the contracting offices was done a certain way because it helps allow more collaborative efforts to reduce costs and increase efficiency, and that's a constant effort that we do. The results have definitely improved from when it was initially established to where we are now. We're working much more efficiently. We certainly have reduced our costs, and that's definitely heading in the right direction, and we're very, very pleased with it. Next slide. Now, outreach resources. Of course, one excellent resource is what we're doing right now, reaching out and having these vendor engagement events. Again, thank you to the LA County PTAC for their support in having this. We also have different type of outreach events, and that's with industry days. Now, what is an industry day? Industry day would be, for example, our office, conducting market research. Industry days are done for market research purposes. And we look at the vendor community, and we have a requirement, and we issue an announcement, a sources sought notice. And what this is going to be a notice issued on beta.sam, for example, to informing the vendor community that we have a requirement for a certain product or service, whatever it may be, and we would like to invite vendors to come, in this case now in a virtual environment because of the current pandemic that we've been in for just over a year. So because of this, we allow the industry day, schedule an industry day, and allows opportunity for vendors to come and present their capabilities and their solutions to whatever the product or service is. And if they present that to our subject matter experts and to representatives of our contracting office and etc., so that we're all on the same page and we discuss it. So essentially it's our team and your opportunity to present, okay? Industry days are held periodically. We did recently try to have them for a real-time location tracking system, which I believe we'll be focusing on trying to do this fiscal year, if not next fiscal year. But that is coming up in the future. National vendor conferences, we usually have those, but of course those have been canceled because of the pandemic. So We won't be having we don't have too many of those, but we also have the government expos, so the VAMC, so Veteran Affairs Medical Center vendor events. Those have they're canceled last fiscal year, but this fiscal year they're turning them into virtual events. And I'll provide our LA County PTAC with information. They can forward it on to those who attended here, so that you have that information and you can see what events are coming up. Our office, of course, will be taking part in it, and we will be there. We'll provide the opportunity to have more one-on-one discussions with vendors and allow them the opportunity to ask questions to us. And the one-on-one meetings, of course, that's a vendor reaching out to me, small business liaison, with phone calls or sending out emails or saying, hey, I have a couple of questions for you. I want to present my capabilities, whatever it may be. Yeah, absolutely, I encourage it. Please reach out. Of course, the advertisements of these virtual events for vendor communities are posted on the Office of Small and Disabled Business Utilization website. So take a look at that website, and the streamlined version of these slides will be provided, so you have that website available to you. And then, of course, other organization agency functions as well. I reached out myself to other organizations and collaborated with them, and they're able to put on platforms where we have virtual breakout rooms, and we have discussions, we have vendor events that we schedule, and just to have more interaction with the vendor community, the better. Next slide. Okay, so improving your chances of working with Veteran Affairs. Of course, the socioeconomic classification, Service of Veteran Small Business verification, that is definitely going to help you in working with Veteran Affairs. Register in the Veteran Information pages, VIP, because that is big in terms of our market research. When we receive a requirement and we conduct market research, we always check VIP for vendors who are Service Veteran Small Business or Veteran Small Business who have the capabilities to fulfill our requirements. That's done practically almost every requirement that we receive. ADA certifications, of course, Hub Zone certification, Women-Owned Small Business, and if you have a federal supply schedule contract. And a big thing here that I want to put emphasis on is responding to the request for information and sources sought notices. The reason why we issue these, what we call RFIs and sources sought notices, request for information and source sought notices, is because we're conducting market research. We're trying to locate vendors, especially veteran small business vendors in the community, around the community, who can fulfill our requirements, okay? Or other socioeconomic categories as well, who can fulfill our requirements. We're looking to conduct this because we want to make sure we're able to find these vendors, and then that way we'll be able to help us determine what our acquisition strategy is going to be. So which part of the federal Veteran Affairs acquisition regulations we're going to be using. How are we going to structure the solicitation? Are we going to set it aside, or Service of Veteran Small Business or Veteran Small Business, or are we going to deviate this? Are we going to go Hub Zone, or Women-Owned Small Business? And Hub Zone, Women-Owned Small Business are a big emphasis this fiscal year because we have small business goals that we have to meet, and we'll touch on that soon. Or we're going to go full and open. So that's all socioeconomic categories along with large business included in the mix. So everyone included. So please, if you see a request for information or a source of sought notice, please take a few minutes to respond to that. Majority of them are posted on beta.sam.gov. I'm really pushing for any vendor out there who sees a requirement or announcement and they feel they can fulfill the capabilities, all the capabilities there, then please reach out. Respond to it saying, raise your hand, essentially, say I can fulfill it, give them a capability statement, and whatever else is being requested in that notice, information-wise. Please provide and respond. We do accept purchase cards as well, within limits, and then of course competitive pricing. The pricing always has to be within industry standards, and all pricing has to be determined to be fair and reasonable by the government, and we do that after we receive responses to solicitation. Next slide. Okay, other resources, again, the first one, small business specialist, small business liaison, same people, slightly different title, but same thing. We are there to help you, support you, and guide you. We have a listing of small business specialists and liaisons at the Office of Small Business Business Utilization website, and that provides a listing of all the small business liaisons for Veteran Affairs nationwide, so that all the network contracting offices, all the contracting offices, you'll find the point of contact you need, and that's a small business specialist you'll find their information, email, and I believe phone as well. You reach out to them if you have an interest in working with that specific accounting office. Procurement and forecasting events, absolutely. Business development centers, PTAC, excellent resource there. And of course, small business administration as well. They're also, of course, there to support small businesses, and they're there to support you. Next slide. Now, I want to provide a couple of sites of interest here. I've touched on forecast contract opportunities, GSA eBuy, General Services Administration eBuy. The eBuy platform there that is utilized for issuing solicitations and looking at government reaching out to vendor community with needs and requirements that need to be fulfilled. So, register for eBuy if you haven't. Keep an eye on GSA eBuy for announcements, etc. System for award management. Please make sure you are verified and your registration is active in the system for award management. Please make sure you also take part in beta.sam.gov. I've touched on that several times so far. Beta.sam.gov, we issue our solicitations and announcements there majority of the time. And that way you'll be able to have those available to you, and you have the opportunity to respond. We want you to have the opportunity to respond. Vendor information pages in vetbiz.gov, please register there. And of course, as I stated before several times, Office of Small Business Visualization website, va.gov/OSDBU. Take a look at that website as well. Next slide. So I want to touch on one quick thing here before my contact information. You see it there. If you have any questions, email me. Email is the best method of communication. And as I stated before, we do have our small business goals that we do have to meet on an annual basis. Those goals from last fiscal year to this fiscal year have not changed much, but I touched on how we need to focus a lot heavily on hub zones and on women-owned small businesses. Hub zone has been a bit of a challenge in the past few fiscal years for our office, and we want to make sure that we meet that, and that's a 3% goal. I know other socioeconomic categories we've overall historically have met them, but if you are a hub zone, you can fulfill our requirements, or you're interested in becoming a hub zone, please do reach out to me, and please email me again, and I'll be able to give you some guidance and see how we can get that process going. So that's my presentation there. Do you have any questions at this point?
Hi, Jay. So we did have a couple of questions come in. So one of them was, can you talk a bit more about teaming agreements, i.e. how are they different from a standard prime subcontract arrangement and whether they are evaluated differently?
So what I was stating there is that we have the prime vendors and subcontractors. All right, it's just on the basic level. There is when we issue a government contract, we're issuing that contract with the prime vendor. The prime vendor will work with their subcontractor, and the government is not affiliated too much with the subcontractor. They're focused more on the prime. That's what the contract agreement is with. But regarding what I was touching on before with subcontract opportunities, is if you're a vendor, you're new to a new business, or you don't have much past performance, being a subcontractor with a prime vendor, teaming up with them, reaching out, for example, your business, and you know there's a vendor out there who receives government contracts or has more experience than you, and they know they've been in the field a little bit longer, or have more experience, I should say. Reach out to that vendor and say, hey, I'm interested in possibly becoming a subcontractor with you on a specific requirement that I see that's been announced in a solicitation that's been announced. Would you be interested? So that's what I'm kind of touching on there, because that gives you the opportunity to be a subcontractor and to gain experience and have some past performance, so that it helps set you up for the future to eventually work on becoming a prime contractor on future government contracts, because now you have some experience, you have the past performance there, and that would help you in that process. So that's what I was trying to communicate.
We at the PTAC also have a lot of resources in the way of helping network from business to business in the community that we have. So if you have interest in collaborating with another business, we have the resources to be able to put you in contact with those businesses.
Thank you. If we are not a SDVOSB or VOSB, but a minority woman-owned business? How do we partner with a veteran business to provide products to VA?
So that's an excellent question there, and what that would entail would be, again, teaming agreements and teaming arrangements and things of that nature. It can get tricky at times. I'll be very honest with you there. It really depends on the situation, the scenario, the type of requirement that you're going to be working on trying to win a contract award for, etc. But overall, it's reaching out, and it's overall first networking is a big thing. That's on vendor events and vendor opportunities. And I was touching on the Government Expo and Veteran Affairs Medical Center vendor events that will be announced. That's also can be networking events for vendors. I will be providing a list of those events and schedule events to your PTAC. PTAC will provide it to those who have attended here, and I highly encourage registering and taking part in that. The networking event allows vendors to be able to reach out together and essentially have discussions and to network and to discuss with each other. And eventually, believe it or not, many teaming arrangements come from these events, come from vendors reaching out and having correspondence with each other and saying, hey, we could possibly work together. So, and I've seen it for several years now. I've been in small business for about 5-6 years now. And let me tell you, it is absolutely true. I'm there on site when we were before the pandemic, and even in virtual environments, I still see it to this day. So that's why one excellent event is going through these events and utilizing the resources as well. And if you have any additional questions regarding teaming arrangements, please do email me, or if you like, I can also provide guidance with Small Business Administration as well. My point of contact there has also informed me to make sure I inform the vendor community that Small Business Administration is there to provide guidance as well. But again, I'm more than happy to reach out to you, address your questions, and see what I can do to help you in that process.
Do you have a list of distributors you work with for food supply, or do you go direct to manufacturers?
Now, we're saying a list of distributors, that we're talking about more of a list of vendors that we utilize. If that's what that means, then we don't necessarily have a list of vendors. We do the announcements, and we'll look at giving fair opportunity for these kind of requirements overall.
Will the presentation be available to download? Yes, it will be. The next question was, do you purchase audiovisual systems for meeting rooms or conference rooms?
I believe we have in the past. I don't believe it's something that we do too much of, because once we get those purchases done and established, we have them. But I will double check and see if there's something coming in the future in our forecast, and see if if we have something coming. But I don't believe there is as of right now. But I will double check again.
How do we get an updated list of all your locations nationwide?
I will be able to provide that to your PTAC, and PTAC can forward it to yourself.
You got it. Is it possible to get a copy of the slides? Yes. The next question is, once I go to va.gov/OSDBU, how do I find the forecast of contracting opportunities?
Mm-hmm. The forecasted current opportunities they'll have a link on their website where it says forecasted opportunities. I've noticed, actually, even if you do a Google search of OSDBU space forecast of contract opportunities, it will take you directly. One of the first links there will be directly to a specific part of their website to take a look at. But just to be advised, my last time I checked on that was recently, and I don't believe they have their forecast posted yet. So that's why we developed our own list, forecast opportunities for our specific region here. If you have any questions for other contract offices, what kind of requirements or what kind of forecasted opportunities they have, please do reach out to them. Again, the small business specialist point of contacts nationwide are on the OSDBU website. So we encourage, if you have any questions, click on small business specialist link right on the OSDBU website, and it will give you all their contact information and reach out to them accordingly.
And the last question we have is, is there any need for real estate services? I'm a California realtor.
We do leasing of real estate, but it's in a limited capacity, so not too much opportunity there.
That was our last question. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Jay, thank you so much for providing all that information. And Enrique, thank you so much for providing information for the PTAC. So we will send out the slides. Jay's contact information will be on the slideshow. The PTAC information will be on the PTAC slideshow. Feel free to reach out. Does anybody have any additional comments or questions? Oh, let's see, got a couple of extra questions.
Yes, please. Yes.
Can a small woman-owned business, not veteran, be a prime contractor for VA?
It depends on what's being purchased there. But overall, a majority of our primes are veterans, especially veteran small business and veteran small businesses. Not to say they're not all, so there is opportunity. Yes.
Hello, we are currently handling transportation for the VA NCA division as a GSA TSP. How do we pursue other transportation contracts within the VA?
For the person that asked that question, please email me and I'll be able to look at our forecast and be able to provide you some resources specifically for transportation services.
Oh, okay. And that was the last one. That was our last question. So thank you again, everybody, for attending. Jay, Enrique, do you guys have anything additional you'd like to add?
All I can say on my part here is that, again, thank you to LA County PTAC for this opportunity again. I really appreciate this from the Department of Veteran Affairs. Those who are veterans, those who have attended, who have served our military, thank you so much for your service. We are here to support you, first and foremost. Then we support those after that. And again, I will say one last time, if you have any additional questions or you would like to have any additional guidance, do not hesitate. Please email me. I respond to emails within 1 business day normally. So I live, breathe, eat emails daily. So again, if you have any questions or you want any guidance, reach out to me. If you have any questions for anyone else at any of the contract office, look at their information on the OSWU website. If not, reach out to me and I'll try to connect you to that right point of contact. But thank you again so much to those who attended, and thank you LA County PTAC for the opportunity.